You're listening to The Bon Marie Show. It's 8 in the evening. Tune in every night at 8 to listen to The Bon Marie Show on Irish News Radio or itv.ie. And you can contact anything that you've heard or if anything you'd like to discuss at news@irishnews.net. Bon Marie Show on itv.ie and Irish News Radio. We are talking about the mess of the Irish government, the fake Irish government. And I will read this out to you to prove how fake our government and this fake coalition is. And this, sit and think about this. The man who is supposed to be our leader of our country did not even receive the popular vote or support of his own party, Fine Gael, let alone get a mandate from the Irish people to be the teacher. And he is kept in power by the leader of the supposed other party, Fianna Fáil, opposition party, Fianna Fáil, who has no mandate from his own party. So get that our leader has no mandate, or he didn't even have the popular vote, and the Fianna Fáil, Michaél Martin, has no mandate from his own party to continue. But he continues to support the man who is claiming to be Taoiseach, yet without ever being given a mandate from the Irish people or from his own party to be giving the popular vote or even support. And these two men are denying the Irish people the right to a general election. That is why we are up shit's creek. We have two fake leaders. They're Michaél Martin is holding him in, and everything Fine Gael does, they agree with. That is not how it's supposed to work. Even when it came to the abortion, the only thing was objected to was the name woman. They wanted it people. This is completely a fake coalition, and you can guarantee Brussels is behind that, and the UN. They're being paid by bigger ships, and they both have their jobs in Brussels afterwards to destroy this country, and they are doing a bloody good job of it. And I watched a video of Leo, and I think it was very telling. From a young age, he had planned to get into Ireland, to get into government. He was in the EU. He was being trained in the EU at this stage, and he had planned to get into the Irish government. He was about 20 at the time, and he said he will change everything. And boy, he has stuck to his word. The whole country is being destroyed. There's no Irish left in Ireland, and that's exactly what he wants. As he said about migrants, they're more likely to pay taxes and work harder. So basically the Irish are lazy and don't pay taxes. He's a disgusting attitude towards the Irish, their culture, our heritage and everything. And he clearly has no identity to being Irish. He wants it completely, this what he calls multicultural, meaning non-Irish. He wants us wiped out, everything about our race and our culture. He hates it. Obviously he had some trouble growing up here or something, and he absolutely hates it, takes it out on every Irish person. And as for the old people, he said he wasn't going to put on their heating, that he wouldn't have a blank check for heating. They have a right. This is their country, their land. All Irish people have a right. How dare he judge people and how dare he say to old pensioners that they don't have a right to heating because they're on pensioners. He is a disgusting man. And to give it on to deny that there's no unemployment, the only unemployment is old age pensioners and people on drugs. Like, he has a disgusting attitude. And yet he has had no mandate. Why is he left in? And why is Michaél Martin, another fake, who had said that he wasn't looking backwards on on independence and sovereignty country. How disgusting thing to say, when our forefathers had died for 800 years to become free. They're both fake, and we need them all out. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin and people before profit. We have nothing but fakes. But we need to do this, and think about this. This needs to be done on a military. We need to work out and start getting conservative voices in. We need somebody behind that and working that out. And we need to do it soon. We need to get together and work out a way to do this. Because this isn't getting any better, people. Like, there is no country for the Irish now. And all those people can go back to their own countries. They're not bringing anything, particularly these fake migrants. They're taking hotels. They're taking places where the Irish should be. Like, if you come here, fine, and you work and you pay your taxes and everything, but it should be the Irish first. And every country. It should be the French first in France. It should be the Germans first in Germany. It should be the Italians first in Italy. Every country should have a leader for its own people first. And, you know, Trump, people hated Trump, but that he was right. Every country should have that. So that is just a bloody mess we're in. Iran threats the US with warships on the Atlantic Ocean. So there's more heating stuff. But, you know, I don't really understand why the Western world loves Saudi and Iran is bad. I mean, they're all Islamic. Does it really matter? Like, supporting any of them, it's the same thing. You can't support Islam. It doesn't matter if it's Iran or Saudi. It is dangerous. It's dangerous for the Western world to play with any Islamic countries. You just leave them be their own thing. You don't get involved. But, you know, for the Christians and that, take them out. But getting involved in siding with Saudi, they will both turn on you anyway. So Islam is Islam. There's 300,000 signed petitions for the UK to leave without no deal, and I honestly think that is the best thing for the UK, is to get out. I've always kind of predicted that that's the way they would go out. But Theresa May, she's another traitor, like our leader. She's left the English hanging for 2.5 years when she could have easily just said, we are leaving. And, you know, all this buts, bands, holding on to it, they were leaving. The EU needs the UK. The UK does not need the EU. There's nothing from the EU. And what's the worst that can happen without a no deal? That they're held up on getting on a plane for a bit longer, or, you know, the queues are longer, or they have to fill in form. So what? The way the EU have treated them is absolutely diabolical. The way they've treated all of the European countries is diabolical. It's the collapse under this one world government, and the UN is absolutely frightening, and our government, of course, signed it with that so-called fake opposition party backing it. So anything, this fake coalition, one fake leader and the other fake leader backs it. We don't have a chance with these two fakes in there. Because he could bring in fucking death to Irish people, and that fake Michaél Martin, neither of them have a mandate. And he backs them up if he does anything. Anything against the Irish people has been bloody bad. It's a disgrace. We had no even voice for abortion because the two of them are fake.
Let there be no doubt about where Ireland stands. We want nothing to do with a backward-looking idea of sovereignty. We remain absolutely committed to the ideals of the European Union.
And that is the real problem, colleagues. Why there is such a problem in this crisis? Because member states are reluctant to transfer new sovereignty and powers to the European Union. And we all know that the only way out of this crisis is a new transfer of powers to the European Union and to the European institutions.
Hello, you're listening to the Bon Marie Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. Today is Saturday. We're just having a quick chat with Eileen about the Yellow Vest movement and your collapsing as we see it, which is a good thing. I think, they're standing up against the EU and against the governments. France is really, for the 8th week in a row, making huge impact. I know there was 4,400 arrested, but they're out there protesting and standing up again in United Kingdom. I'm not sure about Dublin, but I think Dublin, there was one on. So there's really, they're making waves. And I believe in Canada as well, they've had their first Yellow Vest movement as well. So it's not just in Europe. So it's a worldwide thing. People are beginning to stand up to their traitorous government.
Yeah, it's unfortunately like a divide and conquer. It seems to be, there's an awful lot on both sides now. All the countries are divided in half, 50 with the government and 50% against. It's pretty horrendous. I think they are in Dublin today again.
There's over 73. The vast majority are against Macron now, and they're screaming for him out. So
he's an absolute pawn, yeah.
Yeah.
And his past, everything is related to his past. He was picked, and I mean the media was so behind him. What's great is they're waking up to the media, and they were outside France Télévisions, in Paris, and they were like really angry, because they're being portrayed as, there are people infiltrating into it, but they were annoyed at the way they're being portrayed, and I think they're wising up to the media, which is huge, because no one has ever questioned the media.
No.
For decades we've been, taking it and believing it. Every bit of it
we believed that it was free speech. We believed that journalism...
We lived in a democracy. That's what we're told. That's not the case. It's definitely not the case.
And I think even Irish people, I watched a fantastic meme, and it was about Leo, and it was brilliant, and it put it down for me absolutely perfect. When you think about it, the man who's supposed to be our leader of our country didn't even receive the popular vote and support of his own people.
No.
Fine Gael, let alone get a mandate from the Irish people to be Taoiseach. And the person who's keeping him in power is the leader of the supposed opposition.
No, they're not opposition. They're not opposition
at all.
There's the few good people on there are the few good politicians. They're stuck in that they're in that party, but definitely not. There's no opposition. There is no opposition.
Absolutely not.
And people have woken up now to this, and finally, it has taken them it's taken a long time, but nothing is corresponding to reality. What you see on the TV, and then what's going on in Roscommon, and then now at the moment there's a thing people can check on Facebook called Not My Taoiseach. The level of anger is really skyrocketing. Yeah, they've organised a demonstration because they give themselves a very long holiday. We noticed they're not back till the 15th of January. Can you believe that? And there's a demonstration organised outside Doyle Aaron in Kildare Street on the 15th at 3 p.m. and another one on the 16th at 6 p.m. So if people want to look up Not My Taoiseach, which is a great title, and people, oh my God, when you scroll down all the stuff, the anger is really something. I don't think he needs to realise he's on another planet.
I think he's another Macron. I think the majority of people now seem to be, even people who were like, they weren't too sure of what even was going on. And I'm talking to people all the time who wouldn't really be into politics or even know what's going on. They really would. Their only thing is, what's going on in their local supermarket. That's all they know.
Well, this is the problem.
But
you see what's on television?
Started to kind of go, I can't stand him. See what he said about old age pensioners, or this sort of thing. Because when he put up, which was another thing that really annoyed a lot of people who wouldn't even be aware of anything going on. But when he said that he hadn't got a blank check for pensioners.
God.
for heating in the winter. That a lot of them have woken up to go, how
Can you believe
dare
it?
he?
Oh my God, oh my God, stop. I can't stand it anymore. Imagine the bailout has gone from 64 billion up to over 203 or 211, I think it's 211 billion. So we're literally paying only the interest. We never even get to pay the debt. And he's going on about, no.
How brilliant we're doing. Apparently, another lady I was talking to, and again, not somebody who would know more than what's going on in her garden and nothing, you know.
Well, yeah.
But she even said to me, she was watching him on the Mary Finucane show, and she was like, what did he say that annoyed her? Oh, it was the pensioner bit, and what else did he say in the Mary Finucane show? Oh, that there was like, as if there's no unemployment. What did he say? The only people that were unemployed were the old age pensioners, people taking pensioners and people on drugs, something like that on the Mary Finucane show. She was like, how dare he? He thinks he's absolutely appalling. So I do think, you know, they watch these kind of shows, and because he was on that, they wouldn't probably be aware of him, only that he was on the Mary Finucane show, and then they were like, that's quite shocking things he came out with on that show. So I do think, he's shooting himself, because they're beginning to get to know him. Before they didn't actually know him. Just kind of
but he rings them up and says, I want to be, practically, I'm sure he organises it to be on the Late Late and all of that. You know, Mr. Popular. Yes. This is, forget it. I don't even care if he's popular, and he's a product of his upbringing and everything. That's not really the point. But he's completely disconnected with reality.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter because we have no one on the opposition.
No.
This is the problem.
Party, at least we're stopping a general election. They're stopping the Irish people from having a general election, which is pretty tough. They're working together. So the only thing is, we get out and we scream that we want a general election. We want all of them.
But listen, what would be the point? Like, who would you elect?
Yeah. But we need
there is no opposition. At least if people could wake up to the media and realise there's big gaps of information they're not getting, like the UK Migration Pact. I mean, if we didn't have the internet, nobody would know about it in Ireland. People don't know about it. There's people down the country who don't have the internet, so they don't even know about it.
I know, sure. Majority of people, I mean, it's only people who are on social media or anyway awake for whatever reason, have worked in situations or whatever, have woken them up. Majority of people are like, you know, they go about they may know about the local shop or whatever's happening in their local thing.
I mean, that is pathetic, and they have to wake up. I know, like, we are living in a bubble, but kind of there's so much going on, and these bankers are keeping everyone really busy, you know, making sure they work the maximum hours for the minimum wage and bringing in zero contracts and non-stop media, you know, we are being harassed all the time, and it's all deliberate. It's by design.
But they are waking up, and the reason is because it's coming into their communities. Before it wasn't. It was in Dublin, and they would kind of say, you know, oh, you know, Dublin's not Irish anymore, and they'd be kind of like, you know, I'm not being racist, but there's no Irish people there, it's not very comfortable in there, I don't feel safe, that sort of thing. But now they're kind of saying, you know, they're waking up to, they're getting notes home from school, being told about education, that the child will be taught about sexual education, and it will be, you know,
gay cultural Marxism, and
that sort of thing. People are like, what? Why would you be teaching my children about gay sex? It's like, and then if they question it, they feel like, you know, they're going to be bullied, but they're like, you know, this is not something I think my children need to know. And
well, they're going to have to fight hard, because this so-called love movement, this love trickery, they're tricking people into this version of tolerance in order to accept everything.
Yeah.
You know, do as thou wilt. That's what it's all about. There is not going to be any rules in the future. I mean, the future generation, it'll be just, there won't be any heterosexuality, there won't be any core family unit, there won't be any, that's what they want. That's what they want they're aiming for depravity.
Yeah.
Mixing it all up.
But you see, the thing is, I think the normal people, because they've been selling them this little dream, but then the story is not beginning to knit together as much as it was when they start trying to sell their kids, you know, gay sex. And the problem with it is majority of people don't know what's going on in their kids' school, and they don't know that the kids are being brainwashed. They're being told everything is right-wing, it's disgraceful, you know, racist, bigot, and, you know, they're being totally pimped and primed.
It's only the West. I mean, no one has been harassed, in other parts of the world. We are the target. That's what people have to get on, wake up that we are the target. All of the West, all of the Christian countries, and all of the, they want it all mixed up, no borders. They even have these Antifa guys over in the States now. They're not even hiding it. They're chanting with communist flags, "Death to America." No walls, no borders, death to America. Like, I mean, it's beyond belief. This is what we're dealing with now.
Completely. They're not interested in hiding anymore, which is kind of, it's shocking.
It's really out there in your face.
Absolutely, yeah.
And are you going to just let them roll over you? That's the question everyone has to ask. Are you going to just, because that's what they're going to do.
I think they get no resistance. People are waking up. It's just, even the UK, like, because they voted, they've been hanging for this Brexit deal for 2.5 years. She got 300,000 letters in to say they want to leave with no deal. And they're constantly, like, the Brexit are on the streets constantly protesting this yellow thing, this mainly Brexit, who want out. But the funny thing about the UK, which I think is quite interesting, is what was very much a divide of the two, the Brexit and the Remainers, are actually starting to come together and feel like, you know what, because the EU has been so disgraceful to them in trying to get out, that even the Remainers, who actually admit that we were Remainers, but after the way we've been treated, we actually want out because that's what the people voted for, and we agree. Now, there's still a few hardcore kind of Remainers in there screaming, but a lot of people have kind of come around and kind of said, you know what, out is out, enough is enough.
Yeah, but I don't believe any of that anymore. She signed the migration pact. What more do you want?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Well, why are they signing a migration pact if there are millions voted out, out for that reason?
Absolutely. No. She's a complete traitor in her colour. Sure, she put her Home Secretary is a Muslim, and he's probably going to get in as a Prime Minister. Sure, once he gets in, there'll be open borders, there'll be Sharia law, there'll be mosques even more.
They want a war. They want a civil war. They want the Christians and the Muslims to literally kill each other. That's what they want. They want to crash. I think they're going to crash the entire financial system. Then they could really blow us all out of the water,
Yeah.
But I don't believe a word of what comes out of that Fleet Street, City of London media. It's privately owned, and it's owned by the people who run the UN and the EU. So.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think she's a complete traitor. I mean, it's obvious. She would have, if she was, the problem was she was a Remainer, and they should have never got her in. They should have had somebody who was unbelieved in Brexit. And so she's been hauling and drawling and playing around for 2.5 years. Then she comes out with this bullshit deal that isn't even a deal. And then she's trying to bully and blackmail the other MPs to sign it, which is quite shocking. It's just, she's a complete traitor. All her colours are showing. And she works with a Saudi leader recently. Like, she's not interested in England leaving the EU. She's a complete globalist, like.
But none of them are really free.
And all of them.
They're not free as politicians, they're not free. Their hands they're overlorded by a Zionist cult who runs the country, Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
That's the truth. So they don't really have any power, They're only there to control the sheeple.
So did you see the yellow vest today? Which one were you looking at? The French one, or did the Irish one go ahead?
The Irish one went ahead, and the French one went ahead.
What was the Irish one?
I have a feeling the French one will get. I have a feeling it'll get more violent as people get into the new year.
Apparently, it's getting bigger and bigger. This is the 8th week in a row, and apparently, it's a lot bigger than it started. There's 10 people dead.
He's calling them troublemakers. He really has it coming. He really has it coming.
So the Irish were called racists and bigots, of course, but then Gilroy turned around and said, "I'd rather be a racist than a traitor any day."
But they're the racists. They are the racists. I've even heard people on Twitter saying that they are so delighted. Like, I mean, foreigners. I mean, they're not all like that. There's one or two. There's a few saying that they're delighted that Ireland now has abortion, has gay marriage, and next it's going to turn brown.
Yeah.
Now, can you believe that?
Oh yeah, they hate.
Like, that is racism on their half. Like that.
Yeah, they hate us. But
coming from them.
Neil makes no, hiding the fact they hate our culture, our heritage, everything about it. They don't want white race. And particularly, we were so we were so pure that they wanted all that. Because we hadn't been mixed for hundreds of years, so we had a very pure kind of.
But nobody is mixed in. They're not mixed in China or in Colombia or in South America. There's nobody.
Yeah, no, they're all pure, and they're allowed to be pure.
I mean.
But it's because we're white.
This brainwashing has to stop. I mean, people have to overcome this brainwashing. They have to literally just resist it and push it back. Because they are the racists, the ones who want to eliminate the Irish people, who want to ethnically and culturally cleanse the country. That's no joke.
Absolutely. But I like the way Ben was able to stand up, because once you stop being fear, it doesn't matter that they are the racists. And anybody should know that, because the leftists were the National Socialists, that's Hitler, so everybody should know that. But instead of letting them kind of, and arguing back, go, well, I'd rather be a racist than a traitor. And it's time to start hitting them back and not being afraid of their words. You know what I mean? And I think that's the problem. We were too afraid. A lot of countries were too afraid of their big bad words. Rather than going, you know what? So what? If we are racist, we're racist. You know, what's the worst thing? This whole thing of racists being nearly like murderers and being the same as ISIS and being the same as this is insane. If people are
but it's not racism. The Irish people, this is their homeland. This is not racism.
Absolutely.
If you went to anywhere in the world and said, listen, especially Tibet or one of those countries that are being invaded by China and all the rest, or Taiwan, they would, you'd be hauled into the UN court for this and that, crimes against humanity, all this nonsense. But it's okay to do it everywhere in Ireland or in Europe.
Yeah.
It's not racism. This is our homeland. If people want to replace us entirely, they're the racists.
Yeah, well, they do. That's the actual. They want.
Well, then they are the racists. Then they are the
government who wants to do it.
If I went to Colombia and said I want all the people there to be, white Christians, get out.
Yeah.
It's insane. You've got to overcome it.
These people are far too Chinese in this bloody land. Let's get them all white and Christian. A bit of European blood. This is great.
They would never allow that in China.
Of course they wouldn't.
They won't hand out passports or anything.
No,
they're not handing out passports at ceremonies, or you don't even have to do an exam about Ireland's cultural heritage or anything.
Just disgrace. Absolutely disgrace.
If politicians who are Soros, a lot of them bribed off, Soros pawns, some of them are paid till 2019. I mean, this morning, lunchtime there, I was listening to Cormac, and he had Mairead McGuinness on and Lynn Boylan, and I texted in and said, why are they even on? They're bribed up till 2019. Why are they on your show? I don't want to hear them on the show. I'm just going to switch off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, listen to people who are being paid off by Soros.
It's a disgrace. So many were paid off. He really attacked this country, didn't he? He really got in.
Well, the whole of Europe, but especially, I'd say Ireland has it in for Ireland because we were
pure,
Christian. Our Christian identity.
Yeah.
As in no core family units, no gay marriage, no abortion, none of that. So we were definitely in the head. We're they went full of steam ahead. And Colin O'Gorman, the whole lot of them are paid off. People have to get that into their heads.
Mm.
They have nothing to do. Amnesty is a fake NGO. It's a Soros NGO. I mean, the only reason they want abortion is for, the UN Migration Pact is coming now, and they want to be able to eliminate that, bring down the numbers of the Indigenous Irish in preparation for this, along with many other reasons. But it's not for, it's not for rights and equality, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely not. I don't know anybody who could believe that migration is a right. Like, how can a migration be a right? You don't have a right to anyone else's home. How could you have a right to anybody else's country? Like, it's like, people should just leave their door.
Well, they're going to use the climate. They're going to use everything. And now Leo is talking about carbon tax.
I am.
People are going to, somebody said on Not My Taoiseach on Facebook that they were going to stop working because this is just, they were going to claim asylum as a refugee. I thought that was very good.
I do think that carbon tax will absolutely, like the water taxes, because that's something they didn't quite understand, the bailouts and all that sort of stuff. That was kind of went over a majority of Irish people because they just didn't get it. But the water
tax, got it all right.
The water tax really bugged them because it was something that they could really grasp and understand that this is totally wrong. And I think the carbon tax will be, and I think they're annoyed anyway, and that will be a total nail. Whatever about the yellow vest, it will free fall then. And the government won't be able to stop it. I think that will really bug all.
I think people will join, it's going to get worse. They're definitely aiming for the European elections in May, but the carbon tax, they're going to use the climate and everything. People need to look up. I know most people believe about climate change, and why wouldn't you believe it? You believe your media is telling you the truth, of course. Mm. But, if you look into a few things like Tesla and HARP and direct energy weapons, a few things like that, you realise actually you can engineer the weather,
Yeah, no, it's a complete bullshit.
You have that power at this stage.
Yeah.
And people say, well, what the hell would they want to do that for? Well, we're back again to pack and stack them. In a future where nobody can afford to have a house, they don't want you to have a house. They're keeping it 20%, for 10% for beginners starting out and 20% deposit, They're not going to change those rules. It's the highest loan rate, interest rate, and practically in Europe. I think in France it was 2%. I think it's like 4% here. It's double anyway. And they don't plan on the next generation being able to have a home and have a garden and all that. They want to pack people in apartments. And then, you're going to be like a climate slave, where you're going to have meters on your car, you're going to have digital money, cashless, and if you go from A to B, you're going to be sent a bill, it'll be deducted automatically.
It's crazy, yeah.
Digitally, through through your bank account, and say you have like cholesterol or something, they're going to be able to do all of that, your insurance, everything digitally. Like, you need to really think about this. Like, this is going to be enslavement.
Absolutely.
The future, we're going to be packed and stacked in apartments, 2 floors, 3 floors higher. You're going to be kicking in, kicking out.
Don't think, for a long time I had no hope, and I really believed that we were heading there, and I could see all that, and I could see our future. I actually have started now, and was very pessimistic, and I really did believe that was going to happen. The first time, I actually do believe they're not going to get away with it. I actually think there is going to be war. There is going to be rivers of blood. I don't know whether they want that or not, but that is where we're heading. I do think you can only push people so far before they will collapse, and they will attack the government, like you've seen in France, like it is on a wave all over, and they will stand up for the rights. I didn't think they would. I thought they were so broken down and so told that they're no good because they're white and they're racist crap and all that sort of thing. I didn't think. No. I thought they were psychologically so broken down that they wouldn't. But there's definitely a fight still in them. You watch now, and
I told you, they're slow to anger. Yeah, the Irish people are slow to anger. You can see it on YouTube this week that people from other countries are congratulating the Yellow Vests of Ireland.
Yeah.
They're saying, well done, I wish they'd do it, you know, in the UK. I mean, I think they are doing it in the UK, but
Yeah.
they're particularly enslaved with their media as well.
Oh, completely, yeah.
And they have Islam everywhere. I mean, there's certain areas anyway.
Oh, yeah, they're not even allowed to
over.
speak about anything, and they're being locked up, which is Leo's heading for us. But the difference is, I don't think the Irish are going to take it. Like, I was a long time convinced, but I'm beginning to see
no,
they're not.
No, I told you they just kind of got into sleep over the last few decades, and, you know, with TV, basically, and entertainment and everything. It's the same in America, anywhere else.
Yeah.
And now social media and added onto that. And they haven't really been, you know, it's not like, remember, like 1920s when nobody had television, people talked and people, you know, there was a great sense of solidarity then. You know, you look at the old photos, black and white photos of all the people in town listening to Collins and everything. It was like, it was packed. I think that they just need, they need to wake up, and they will. They're slow to anger, but they will wake up. But I'm still worried about the banks. I'm still worried about the banks because that would really blow everything up.
To worry about the banks, because I actually think, even if the banks crash, I think we're going to survive. I think we would be better off if the banks do crashes, and then it will wake a lot more people up. But I don't think they're going to bend down and let them do all this pin and chipping. I do think that the Irish would rather starve and learn to barter and go back to a time, and I do think the majority of people won't take it. I do think that they are waking up, and I have seen huge signs of it, and I didn't believe it for a long time.
I didn't believe it at all. You can see the anger is really like, people are just, I mean, they literally want to pull him out of it, and it wouldn't really make much of it. It's not only him, it's the people behind him, the power structure behind that.
But I do think they're going to
controlling everything.
It is ready to burst in Ireland, and I do feel that coming. But I do think, as I said, I think it'll be rivers of blood. Whether they want that or not, I'm not sure. Maybe that's part of the thing to depopulate it as well. But I do think it will be rivers of blood. I think when people go, and they have started to go, there's no stopping it now. They won't be happy and satisfied until Leo's out, until they feel like they've got a government who's representing them, and they're not going to stop. Like France, I don't think they're going to stop either. And the English always tease France as having no fight in them, but they've proven very different with this yellow list, but they really all have a fight in them.
Yeah, but isn't it terrible to think that we would have to end up, you know, with rivers of blood in our own country, and then what, be replaced? There should be more people from Asia and Africa. I mean,
no, I don't think. I think our population will go down. I think what happens.
We have to go through all that. I mean, they need to be lynched, the whole lot of them.
Oh, they absolutely.
Why should we have to go through all that? Everything centuries of this nightmare.
I know, and unfortunately, so far that's the way it's heading. It's going to be rivers of blood. But you know, the good thing is that majority of foreigners will leave. They won't stay, because why would they? They've got no ties to Ireland. They've got no loyalties to Ireland.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I know they're getting lots of freebies, and that's very good, and will hold you. But majority of people, once the shit hits the fan, they're not going to be sticking around. And whether you think that
depends if you have something to come back to, you know.
Well, majority of them do. Like, I know a lot of Africans, and they say they've never seen the poverty like they've seen in Ireland. It's fake. Like, we get a lot of fake news. There's a lot of rich African countries. I'm not saying the whole of Africa is rich, but there's a lot of them rich. They would, like, in places like Botswana and stuff like that, have a very good lifestyle.
Well, they could be a super wealthy continent if the banks weren't sucking them dry.
Yeah. Oh, no, but we're in a worse situation. Like, a lot of Africans I know who said in African countries, you wouldn't see the homeless like you see in Ireland. You just don't see it. Like, they all, even the level of poor, they were explaining to me, like, the chicken that you get everybody has a certain amount of chicken that they cook up, and that's why they don't like the chicken breast. A lot of them prefer chicken legs because they give them chicken breast. But they'd all have houses, they'd all have a certain amount, particularly I'm just talking about Botswana because of the diamonds, but the government covers everything. They don't need, it's like They don't need for anything, and they have never seen. They said when they were coming to Ireland that they thought they were coming to this wealthy country, and it was like Western world.
Well, they all claim that there's poverty in every country, but it is, standard of living as such. There's just the population in some of those countries it's huge.
Yeah. But, but like a lot of those countries aren't as bad as the media says.
It is a shock when you go, to a third world country. It's a mental shock. It takes a few days to adapt. But,
I think we are in a third world country, to be honest with you. I think we were. Not as bad as, we're not walking around in our bare feet, but we've been there before. Yeah.
There's no reason it can't happen again.
Yeah, well, it probably would be the least of our problems. This government who's squeezing us and trying to put us into enslavement is probably worse. But yeah, and I do think that they will fight. A lot of those, though, I do believe will go back. A lot of them have their homes there anyway. A lot
of the Irish might leave too. But where would they leave? It depends really. There's a lot going on, but
where would the Irish go? Who would take the Irish? The Irish, it's not like, the UN is offering any refuge to any European country.
They're only going to
be like the White
EU.
They'll be left here to die. We'll be left here to die. There will be no help sent for us. We're not black. We're not Muslim. We're not welcome. And that's what's going to happen. They're not going to be bringing out. Sure, look at Northern Ireland for years, bombing and thinking, was anybody ever sent out from Northern Ireland? Oh, we must save the Irish. Like Syria, something like 75% of Syria wasn't even in war, and it's over now, and we're taking in refugees.
I don't know if it's over. I think it's temporarily over. I don't know if it's really over. I don't think they'll ever be over until they've really blown up Iran, and then they might finally get to their final destination. But
I know Trump's taking his troops out. It's over. Even they have been programming, not on main media, but they have. You've seen women, Syrian women, I don't know why, they want their men back, but they say now Syria is now 70% female. It might be a good place to go on holidays, actually, at this stage. It's like there's 70% females, all the males left. Well, not all the males, but, 70%, that's quite a high percentage. And then there was a program where the females were crying out for the men to come back to them. Why?
Well, some of them, they want to, There was celebrations.
To send them. They were saying to European countries, send them out. We want our country to be rebuilt. We're finished now. They want to rebuild it and set off again. And they were saying, kick them out. And even the Assad had said that if they come back, none of them will be impeached or anything for not joining the war. They don't want them back. Don't know why. They're all bloody useless.
I think a lot of things could change between now and 2025 or even 2030. This Agenda 2030.
Yeah.
People need to look it up.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have Varadkar in his 2040. So, hopefully he'll be gone before then. We're not going to hand this country over. He's not getting away with it.
No, I don't think so, but there'll be a lot of killing. He won't get away with it, but unfortunately we'll go through an awful lot before. He's not going to give it up either, easily. This is not going to happen easy because it's not just Leo, as you said, it's all the government. There will be a huge river. We're heading for a war.
Well, it's the ones behind. They're little pawns. You might as well consider them as little pawns on a puppet, on a string, because it's the people behind them who are really. And since that IMF bailout, I'm sure there's an awful lot of additional manipulation added onto that IMF bailout.
But even Theresa May, who is a treasonous,
you either do this or we won't give you the money.
Yeah. Well, they're still doing that. But
simple as that. Blackmail.
Even Theresa May is bringing over something like 1,000 troops to Northern Ireland.
I know, yeah. I have a feeling, they're up to something. Yeah, they're up to...
I'll tell you what they're up to. They want to start off, and so does our government. They want to start off Northern Ireland again. And this is where I'm saying rivers of blood. We thought the 30 years of violence. We haven't seen nothing.
I think they want a unified Ireland, but they want it under their control.
Yeah, well, they know that that's not what's going to happen. They know that they're going to start bombing, and they're going to blame the IRA, and they're going to blame different military groups. They're going to start blowing things up. This is where the river of blood is going to start.
No, I think it's the bank. I think it's the bank, the Greeks. They need another bailout. I mean, Deutsche Bank is on the verge of falling over a cliff. You have, the American dollar, literally, they're completely up to their neck in debt. I mean, we're on the brink here of the euro collapse, I think, yeah. And then they wouldn't need the army. And what if everyone, that would be, for that reason, I believe, the army would be sent in.
Oh, the army will be sent
then
in.
They might give us more money, it would be a loan.
No.
Another loan on top of our already enormous, huge bailout. And that would finish us completely off.
So we're finished. There isn't any of us. This is the thing. We were gone. We were gone since the last Lisbon. But this thing is, people are just waking up now. This is why they'll send in the 1,000 troops, the British troops. But she's also signed a pact with the EU bullshit army. So Ireland is in this EU bullshit army as well. So I don't know. They want to set off Northern Ireland again to get some way to get the British to start talking about staying in, because the British are getting fed up with hanging around and they want out now yesterday. So, I mean, as you said, there's not going to make any difference to them. But
I think they're going to be out. I can't imagine them staying in. I think they're going to be out, but we're going to be forced out.
Yeah, they will be out.
We're going to be forced out.
We?
I can't imagine we can. Maybe that's what they want, Britain and Ireland.
Yeah, I don't know that the British or the EU will force us out. In fact, they'll do everything to keep us in and to keep a thorn in the British side. I can't see them forcing us out. I can't see what they want to enslave us. That won't happen. It'll be the British will be out. They will leave with no deal in March. They will have to send over their troops. They will put a border. I'm sure it will have to be gone by then. I don't know what's going to happen with her, how they can keep her in, because she's dangerous. God knows what she's really planning. Not what the British want anyway. So,
they plan it behind closed doors. They plan it in Davos, they plan it in Bilderberg, they plan it, and they know the whole schedule. And they have, if there's an army coming in there, they know very well for what reason.
Yeah, no, there is.
We're always we're here, we're always trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
Through their lying media, they're only telling us what they want us to know.
Absolutely. Oh no, the army will be here.
But I have a feeling that's the financial thing, the banks and the army's coming in, settle chaos, or they want martial law, they're calm civil unrest. They're predicting civil unrest if they have the army here, yeah.
Oh, they will, because that's what is going to happen. But it's mainly to do with because of the Irish government and because the English are not giving them the Brexit that they voted for. They're going to try and hold Northern Ireland in. They'll try and hold the whole of the UK in, but Northern Ireland they will try and hold in. And that's what they know is going to cause civil unrest.
Yeah, but it's all orchestrated.
Absolutely. Well, no, then they know that's what they want. I don't know if they want the
sheep to wake up. That's the most important thing, is to get the sheep to wake up, that they're being manipulated.
Yeah.
Especially the ones who don't have the internet and can't do any research really of their own.
Yeah. Oh no, I think they are waking up. The thing is,
they're only saying it now because their villages are being planted.
Yeah. That's it.
And they're literally coming on their doorstep, and this is only the beginning.
Yeah.
And now they see it coming, but they can't. Some of them in very rural areas have no access to the internet.
Yeah, and it's just that their community,
and they haven't got these.
And that's the beginning of it. But they do. They're beginning to wake up, definitely. But I do foresee.
They haven't announced the last 3 migrant. I'm going to call them migrant hotels because that's what they are.
Absolutely.
And somebody was saying to me during the week, no, there's 33, there's 35. I said, no, there's 41 now, 41 in 18 counties. In 18 counties.
41 bloody migrants.
That was orchestrated by the Immigration Council, who are another Soros fake NGO.
Shane Curry.
Bill Killorn and Co.
So not Shane Curry.
That gang, yeah, the subversives.
Oh, unbelievable.
They were the ones behind coming to that decision where they would be planted in each county, you know. And there's no problem finding people who are going to, because the taxpayer pays for everything. And some people have bought hotels, small little hotels, refurbished them and renting them out now, making a fortune. And they were paying for it, obviously. But this is a plantation, so they're definitely seeing it in their own little towns. And some of those towns have 300, 400 people in them.
Shocking, absolutely.
Some of them might have a few thousand. I think Roscommon has a few thousand.
Yeah, Longford apparently.
I mean, they have
Longford was a lovely town, but they've had enough as well. Like, the ones particularly close to the border for some reason seem to be the most affected, whatever they are picking those counties near the border.
Well, I don't know. I've seen a map. It's fairly evenly spread out, like as if it's a military operation. It's really obvious that it's a plantation. And if every when they brought in people to Northern Ireland, I think there was 19,000 only Scots at the time, Scots and English, planters as such, and they were brought in, 19,000, and Fine Gael and Co have brought in 30,000 a year.
Jesus Christ.
So, I mean, but those people aren't trying to plant us. They're here, some of them are European and have a right to travel here and work here. It's just the numbers. If it expands, which is the plan. If Ukraine joins and Serbia joins, and as we have so many people in direct provision now who are coming in from Pakistan and Albania and Georgia. And Albania and Georgia were two countries that they were declared safe countries by the Irish government.
Jesus Christ.
Like during the year in 2018. But they still are receiving people, they've been given visa access to Europe even though they're not part of the EU, but they're still flying into Dublin and claiming asylum.
Well, there's nothing that can happen until Leo and Co is out.
They're economic migrants,
Yeah. But yeah, it's shocking, absolutely disgraceful, and there'll be more to come, but I do see this ending in blood, but we've got a lot to go before we even get to blood. There is a long, long, sad journey of slavery on the way, and a massive bloodshed. And it'll all happen in a very short period of time. I never imagined, I remember hearing these stories a few years ago that this would be happening. I didn't even really believe we would get to where we are so quickly, so fast.
Because they planned this for decades.
Yeah.
They've planned this in every year in their secretive meeting in Bilderberg where no journalists are allowed in. They've planned it for decades, and if we have any information at all, it's through people who are working there as waitresses or waiters or whatever, who got some of the information out. Now they're rolling it out, so it has come like a wave, a tidal wave, one thing after the other. I mean, every day, even in 24 hours, you can't get a break at all.
Oh no, we've been snowed in by it. But so it's just literally, I do think there's a lot of pain and misery to come to us on our way, and then there's a lot of bloodshed. And then I don't know what's going to happen. Depends on who gets through the bloodshed. If they get through, then we will be enslaved. There will be no Ireland.
Well, I think people shouldn't be sitting ducks either. So if they have, say, for example, a mortgage and it's on a flexible rate, this is the reason I got into an argument with my brother in the first place, because he was on a flexible rate and I was trying to convince him to change it to a fixed rate. Anyway, so if people could at least change their mortgage to a fixed rate, because if there is a euro crash, say, for example, all of your payments will triple overnight. You've got to protect yourself as best you can. Say you have a student loan, it's on a flexible, or, all of these flexible rates, just make sure they're locked in to a fixed rate, so you can't, overnight be kicked out of your house.
Well, that's a scary thought, yeah. That's a very good point.
It can happen.
Absolutely.
Well, if the euro crashes and all
I do believe it is going to crash.
They devalue to nothing. Say all the currencies collapse. because they control all the central banks. They have the power to do that. That would, to me, in my mind, that would be the reason, you know, the army were brought in as preparation for riots.
Yeah. Well, there will be riots.
And people look at their accounts, kind of get organised and ask yourself, what would I do if there was a oil crash? I mean, what would I do? Not that I'm prepared myself particularly, but I did manage to get my brother off his flexible rate mortgage with difficulty. But anyway, so what would you do? I mean, would you be able to survive for like 3 months? You know, students, for example.
You're right. You start thinking, like, maybe even vegetables, growing food, practical things.
Having some reserves, not being a total sitting duck. Like, I mean, with the banks, right. You know, you cannot trust the banks. That's and my dad used to say that to me years ago. Never trust a bank.
Yeah, my dad used to say that, and politicians.
And I was,
and he's right.
I always remember that. I was only 16. Never trust a bank. So, if you could just prepare yourself at least that much, you know, and try to imagine what would you do. Would you have enough heat in the house? Would you be able to survive for a few months? You know, if you need to buy some food. But make sure that you're not on flexible rates that can triple overnight. Then they have you where they want you, you know, and you owe them. You know, they'll just take the keys and kick you out. I mean, I'm trying to imagine, and obviously, a disaster situation. But I think they're planning a disaster. I do have this gut feeling they're planning a disaster.
Oh, they are.
So don't be sitting there waiting for it to happen. At least get yourself off your flexible rate.
Yeah, and take out your cash and whatever. If you have cash, take it out.
Well, you might need small notes, you know, because say you want to barter with somebody and you have a €50 note and there's no change. You might need some small notes. You might need, I mean, I'm not, you know, an expert or anything. I'm just trying to imagine the scenario, you know.
Yeah, no, I do.
But this flexible rate thing does make me nervous because, I mean, as it is, there's people being kicked out of their homes, and it's not over yet.
Oh God, no! They've only just started kicking people out.
But imagine if there was a bank collapse or a euro collapse as well. Oh man, I mean, really, we'd have to imagine witnessing that.
Yeah, no, I think that we're not far from witnessing that. To be honest with you, I think once the British are out in March, they're going to leave a huge dent, a massive dent, because they were the biggest contributor. Germany are not happy at the moment. There's a huge amount of rife going on with the so-called left and right parties there. Merkel is really popular with 50%, but there's a lot of who aren't, and she's only hanging in by a thread by her party. So I don't know, that if
Germany is a communist, when are people going to wake up? She's a communist, 100%, no doubt about it. She's a traitor. She received the Kalergi Prize, you know, the Charlemagne Prize for bringing in the amount of migrants.
Right.
And she also said that the Germans must be, and Europe in general, must be prepared to give up their sovereignty.
Oh, absolutely.
What kind of speech is that?
I know, but the same as Ireland gave, Michaél Martin. No, backwards looking in sovereignty. It was the same speech, pretty much. That
she was trying to convince people that they weren't really German, if you know what I mean. They were just living in Germany. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? It's the historical homeland.
Yeah, well, they all,
you know, that we're all one as such. It's all a big world. It's only for Westerners, of course. But we're trying to brainwash people into it.
Absolutely.
Into giving up their homeland.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's easier than getting tanks and doing it. But at least in the old days, they had their governments of somewhat to protect their country. But it's getting, you know, the Eastern European countries are so strong.
Well,
they're fabulous. They're not taking any of this crap. It's just the Western European.
Well, it's because they've been through World War II and all, you know, they've been through all that, World War I, all that. So they're not, you know.
So is the West.
They're not going to take it lying down.
Yeah. No, they don't. But, I do think we've a good bit to see yet what's happening. But I do think after Brexit will leave a huge dent. Then maybe the euro will crash. I wouldn't say it'll last long after the British are gone, if they get out. I'm not 100% whether Theresa May will actually let them out. But we'll see. But the British won't stand for not going.
She's told. It doesn't matter what people think. I mean, well, it does matter because people believe that she actually has power, but she doesn't.
But even if she
lunatic
doesn't,
Merkel, nation states must give up their sovereignty to the New World Order. She's like,
oh yeah,
they must not listen to the will of their citizens when it comes to the questions of immigration, borders, or even sovereignty.
Wow.
And she says that she won't seek re-election in 2021. My God, help us. And she said, "What the people are, this brainwashing here. But the people are individuals who are living in a country. They are not a group who define themselves as the German people." Have you ever heard a twisted sentence?
No.
Like, talk about brainwash, rubbish, globalist brainwash. That's what it is. And of course, her good buddy Macron went on to say, member states. Yeah, they'll surrender their national sovereignty to Brussels over foreign affairs, migration and development, and it will give an increasing part of their budget and even their fiscal resources. So they're literally, they're going to merge it all, and we're going to be little pawns.
Mm-hmm.
That's the plan.
Oh, that's the plan. Yeah, I thought that would happen. We don't know. We'll
be paying for the army next. That's the plan. It'll be out of our taxes.
Well, I do think people are waking up. I know that that's the plan, and you can see it, and I would have believed even a while ago that there was no stopping it. It was going to happen. But I have a little hope that there are people waking up. Now, what will happen is, unfortunately, people will wake up, and there will be other people who aren't awake and don't believe it. It will end in our death. Like a huge amount of our death, and maybe that's
the plan. And then they can wash Europe with Africa and Asia.
Yeah, because there's so much of us dead, because there will be a lot of people, and I do believe it's going to be rivers of blood. We think that we see more in Ireland. This will be a whole new thing into the Irish, which was already a sad, very sad.
I mean, look at the state of the friggin' result of the referendum. I mean, they're all realising, a lot of people who voted for the abortion are realising, well, I hope they're realising, that we have an even more liberal abortion regime than the UK.
I know. They were lied to. And a lot of them, waking up to that. And I think...
it's a bit late now. I mean, you cannot trust them. You know, when they say, when they woo you with this nonsense, they have they have devious agendas going on then when they get access to that referendum. This is what people need every time they access our constitution. They can write legislation that is, totally adjacent to what you thought you were. The result will not be what you voted for at all. It's out of our hands at that point.
Yeah.
Just like the Blasphemy referendum where everyone voted yes and thought they were protecting Ireland from Islam. They have given those subversives access to our constitution to write additional legislation.
Yeah.
And therefore, they move on to hate speech laws.
Absolutely. I'm sure he'd brought in some of that anyway. He started doing that, but this is all to get ready for that UN pact, which they brought in, that people talking badly about the UN or the migrants will be criminalised.
Well, if they think they're going to pull this one over our heads, and they think they're going to just, without even telling us, one of the most important international agreements that we didn't even vote to sign, and that they signed without even telling us.
Shocking.
And put on Mrs. Brown's Boys and what that rubbish, EastEnders, all over Christmas, that crap. I mean, I hope people realise they're, whatever about having, relaxing and everything, but EastEnders, I mean.
There's a whole thing about not pay TV license.
People are distracted. They need to get away from their soaps.
I know that.
I know they need to relax and everything, but they need to put in a little bit of effort. The country will be taken from them from under their noses if they don't wake up.
It's already been taken. They're only beginning to wake up now.
While they're busy looking at soap.
I think that's already happened. That's too late. The country has been taken. It's well taken.
Well, it's pretty much the last bailout. But what if there's another one coming? There's another bailout. They were going on this morning.
We've lost everything.
Cormac, there at lunchtime, he was on the what do you call it? That live or News Now thing with two sour spawns in the studio, McGuinness and Lynn Boylan, and they were going on about Ireland needing another huge dose of money. Keep going after Brexit. This is going to be a loan. It's not going to be. They're going to hand it. It's going to be another bailout, another loan.
I don't think there's much more damage they can do. The only thing is people are waking up, and that's the good thing. So will all that happen? But it's already, Ireland's gone. We'll talk again next week.
Okay.
I'm heading home here. Listen, thank you so much, Ireland, for your opinions and your brain again. And it's interesting to see, what's happening in your views coming from somebody who worked there and who knew about the situation. So it's very important that we all pay attention to what's going on. And people are waking up. And please God they continue on working.
Yeah, I definitely see a difference, yeah.
Me too. And I really believe it's not just my hope. I really do believe I'm actually seeing it, because sometimes you don't know whether you're hoping that it's happening or it is happening. But obviously it is happening. The yellow vests are real, and they are happening.
Yeah.
So there is some hope. We just see where we go. But it's happening at such a quick rate. Please God, Leo will be out, and even that will be a start. I know he's a pawn and he is a little puppet, but at least it'll be a start that they have to put up a fight. Maybe they do want the rivers of blood, but that's maybe where we need to go. But thank you so much, Eileen.
Okay.
And I will talk to you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Eileen. Bye-bye. On the Bon Rees Show. Thank you for everybody for listening. We'll be talking to Eileen next week.
You are listening to Irish News Radio at irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.